Dr. Anne-Marie Koukios to unmute. And
it's recording up there.
As soon as she unmutes, you can take it away. There we go.
Oh, all right, we're
You
good.
should be muted.
Father Nick, thank you so much. He's our priest right here in Ann Arbor, and he's also a neighbor down the street a little ways. So thank you so much. It puts everything in the right place as we begin. So welcome everybody again. This is so fun, and I think we learned from last time. It's the first time we're doing something of this nature with a workshop, information, some singing that we'll be doing, and producing virtual things. We've done a lot of virtual things, and that's just time intensive, but adding the other parts to it is a little bit different. So it's coming, and we're learning, and we want to hear back from you as we're going through this. Today, we're going to be working on the Megalinarion, or Angelos, Evoa, both the chant and the setting by George Raptis, which are just beautiful settings. Throughout this session, I'm going to pull apart my little, there we go. I have to get my things large. I have 3 screens, so I'm organized, you know, the Trinity. So here we go. Throughout this session, I'll be sharing information with you, and also we'll be singing some things, virtual rehearsal suggestions for you to use and share, as well as focusing on the beautiful setting by George in both Greek and in English. You can find these 2 settings respectively in his liturgy, his divine liturgy, the one in Greek and the one in English. The last part of the session I want to get to and have 15 minutes left. So by 4:15, I'm targeting to talk about the virtual choirs with you. And everybody, whether you're singing, you signed up to sing in the large choir or not, please come. There's some fun information there. But I did say choirs, and I just want to clarify right here before we start. There is a small group, and we're calling them the Greek Orthodox Virtual Retreat Singers. And you heard the very preliminary recording with them, and you'll hear more of a finished product today with them singing "The Lord Bless You and Keep You." It's after we've gotten all those materials that we are developing the materials for the large choir. The large choir operates kind of a week behind the other choir. So today and tomorrow, we're getting ready to send out, for those of you that have signed up, materials to then record, and you'll be seeing solo parts to learn your part with, a small ensemble to sing with, and then you have materials that are training materials for me, and then explanations about how to record and how to submit your recordings from Evans. So that will be at the end. At the end of the entire series, on a 5th Sunday, February 14, we're planning a virtual party. Bring your own beverage and your favorite hors d'oeuvre, and we will reflect and share about the experience, and then we'll listen to the results of both choirs, the small and the large, at the end. And hopefully that'll be a kind of a fun time to get together. So let me say, grab your music. If you've printed out your handouts, I will be putting them on the screen also. But if you want your own copy, now's the time, or if any of the materials that are posted, and I thank Nick for keeping us on top with those things. So I'm going to start with talking about O Angelos Evoa, or The Angel Cried in English. This is a hymn classified as a Megalinarion. So the Megalinarion is sung during the Divine Liturgy, many of you know this, after the epiklesis, or the invocation of the Holy Spirit and the consecration of the elements. It is, on normal occasions, the Axionestin, or "It is truly right to bless you, Theotokos." It is part of what is the so-called ordinary classification. So when we talk about an ordinary, that refers to an invariable portion of a service or a liturgy. It happens every week, the Axionestin, unless something is substituted. And we call the proper are the variable portions of a service or liturgy that change in accordance with the liturgical season or the feast day. And this is where you grab your guidebook, right? And you go. So that is the ordinary and the proper. So O Angelos Evoa replaces Axionestin during the Easter season, throughout that season, and it is therefore a Megalinarion proper. So this is sung, this Megalinarion proper, is sung at the Easter Sunday liturgy for the first time. So there are 6 weeks, 6 Sundays during the entire Paschal season. So, excuse me. So this is sung on the first, third, and sixth Sunday with the words that are in this particular Raptis version, and the words most of us know when we've encountered this hymn. So on the Sunday of weeks 4 and 5, a portion of the text is different, and that's what I'm going to explain and show to you in a minute. On week 2, none of these texts are sung. That Sunday is about Thomas, doubting Thomas, and everything's different. And we're not going to talk about that today. We're just sticking with Angelos, Evoa. So the text of the Megalinarion can be found in the Divine Liturgy, as we said, and it is also near the end of the Matins office, or Orthros. Orthros, or Matins, was originally one of the canonical hours of worship, which was early in the morning. Now it's truncated and appended, or just before the Divine Liturgy, in its full glory, when it's not cut and all that. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful services to keep studying and listen to, in terms of the richness of the text, the hymnography, what the hymnographers wrote, and all of the music. It's incredible. Anyways, during the ninth ode of the canon, which is part of the Orthros, a canon being a very large, complex poetical form, it was introduced sometime in the 7th century, late 7th century. It consists of 9 parts, which are called odes. And each ode is comprised thematically of a scripturally based hymn or a canticle commemorating different saints or martyrs. Example, Ode 1, we have 9 odes. Ode 1 is the Song of Moses, crossing the Red Sea, and those scriptures associated with it, and things that are written reflecting that theme. The second, now this is interesting, the second ode is from the end of Deuteronomy. The second ode is only used for the Tuesdays in Lent. So for most of the time, there's only 8 odes, but we number them 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When you see them in the book, I have my book here. A little book for, everybody has this for Easter week, right? And you go to that, you'll see 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Without going through all the odes, because we're only dealing with the last one, but the next to the last is the Song of the 3 Holy Children, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right, in the fire. That's 8. And then 9 is the Song of the Theotokos. Has allusions to the Magnificat in the Western tradition, right? So within each of the odes, hymnographers wrote typically 4 short hymns. They wrote 4 hymns, which would connect 2 ideas. This is kind of a beautiful thing with the combination of text that is really beautiful. So the 2 ideas. The first is the event of the season or saint being celebrated for the day. And the second is the theme or event associated with the ode. So you might have Easter season with Theotokos, which is what we have here in what we're looking at today. So truly beautiful texts result through the creativity and imagination of the hymnographer with the text alone. So it's very beautiful as you just read the text. So the canon, this important part of the Orthros service for Easter Day, is also called the Resurrection Canon or the Golden Canon. It's very special. It was believed to be written by St. John of Damascus, and it contains the words of our entire Megalinarion, O Angelos Evoa, within that 9th ode. So in the text for O Angelos Evoa, we have beautiful combination of, or melding of, references to the story, the events, and the sacred significance of the Theotokos, theme of Ode 9, along with images and references and paintings of the text of Christ's entombment and his resurrection, which is the theme of the season. How powerful is that? These double duality, these images, very powerful and moving. Musically, within each ode, we alternate texts and patterns of refrains, which are stichi, are alternated with what we call irmi. A single irmi is an irmos, a hymn, and this hymn has a fixed rhythm and melody. The irmi refers to and partially means model, so it is a pattern of rhythm and melody that is repeated when it comes back every time. So let me show you a handout, which will make it a lot easier now. It's a lot of information, but it's important. So I'm going to go, Nicholas, once I knock out my first handout, I'm good to go, I think, right? Here we go. Yes, now I'm going to screen share with everybody. I'm going to go here and share and go full screen. How'd I do? Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, so here you see I've marked. So this is out of this book that I showed you, just the Holy Week Easter book that we all, I'm sure, use. You have the ninth ode here, which is on the first tone. Here it is in Greek and English. The smaller font are what we call the refrains, or the stichi, or some of them call verse or versicles. They vary in what they are, and you can see that here. And then you see the larger print. This is an irmos. Collectively, they're called irmi. So as you go through, you see the alternation, refrain, verse, refrain, verse, refrain, verse. Now, one thing I find very amusing, and always have, is that when I think of a song, I think of a refrain being the same thing from beginning to end, and I think of a verse as telling a story and changing. But here, what do we have? We have the refrain is the same, and then it changes. And then we have the verse, but it's different, but then it comes back. So, but on the other hand, that makes for a very beautiful, beautiful kind of melding or coming together, a very rich weaving of the texts. Okay, and you can also see here at the end, when you put together the last refrain and the last irmos, that this is the complete text of the O Angelos Evoa that we sing, that constitutes the Megalinarion, right? So I'm going to stop screen sharing for a minute. Okay, check my time and keep going. So that, let me see, I think I'm good. So then I have, let me see, is that the chart? I have one more thing that I want to show you in a screen share, and that is a little chart I made. So some of these, here it is. Okay. I'm going to, well, before I leave you visually. So on the 4th and 5th Sundays of Pascha, we sing a different text for part of this, right? And those texts have the same feel musically as the irmos, the first one, the fotizo, fotizo. That's what changes. So I'm going to put up a chart for you, and you also have it in your sort of handouts posted. Screen share, it's the last little visual on the text here. Here it is, and here it is. So let me do a full screen on this one too. Oh, okay, is this good, Nicholas? Can everybody see it?
Yes, perfect. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the feedback there. So you can see the Megalinarion proper, O Angelos Evoa, and here is the version we know and love. Here's some the phonetics, and here's the Greek. Okay, so week 4, it is this part that changes, fotizo, fotizo, symphonos, and here it is efreno. But if you were to speak this in a rhythm, it fits, except for maybe pickup notes. But this chart is for you to have a lot of, and I have to acknowledge Nancy Takis. I used her, she has an incredible website. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but she has, I used her phonetics here and also her English. There are different translations, obviously, but I tried to align, which is why it's on a legal size, each line with what it corresponds to, because that's important for you to see in the metric organization, except for this one I had to do a little something, but you can see how that relates. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to come back. Hello. Okay. So 2 great websites for looking up things like this are Nancy and Stan have a wonderful, wonderful website. And it is called newbiz, newbyz.org. And it contains just numerous hymns from all of our service set to Byzantine melodies, Western staff, Byzantine pneumatic notation, Greek phonetics, all of it. And they have graciously given permission on their site. You can print out any of these materials. The copies that you're going to see in a minute, because we're going to use them, they're very clean and beautiful and nice to work off of. Another site that I got hooked on, oh my gosh, is agesinitiatives.com. And probably a lot of you know about this, but it is an amazing site. It's a digital chant stand. Once I got into that, 3 hours disappeared. It's a multilingual database with applications for church and home and teaching. It's a wealth of information and materials for all services throughout the year, Greek, English, any kind of format, and it's incredible. So Ages Initiative. Okay, I'm going to now switch over to Nancy's chants, and I'm going to look first at the Greek and then the English for week 1, 3, and 6, and then 2 more. And I've got my dear brother-in-law here who's going to chant, who's also psalty for us. We're going to do a little bit of singing and talk about ison holding and the vowel color maybe. That'll be our first little vocal thing interspersed into this. So as we're talking about, let me just do one vowel, okay? I can't do if I do a lot of warm-ups, I won't get to everything today. But when we talk about vowels, Greek vowels, and we have that ison on an O, where is that O? We have the vowel spectrum, E, E, A, O, U. So it goes like this, A at the top being the most open sound. Aha, right? Vowels, when we sing, especially when we sing Greek, it's good to modify those with some closed vowels, which I'll talk about a little later, but an AW works really well. Keep it tall vowel, ah, and shove that ah through there a little bit when you sing, ah. So when we go from E, which is the more closed, and U on the other side, and then you come in this way, there's ah, O, U. So to O, in between AH and OH is AW, ah. And in between AW and O is O. That Greek sound, O. And that's what we want to use on the ison, O. So bringing things forward, and not letting this spread, right? And that's what we'll do with our ison in a moment. So what I want to do with you is practice one thing. Everybody go off their microphones for a minute. We're going to sing an ison together. Oh. Yeah, I'm cute. Hold on. So everybody together. And then when I do this, we're going to move down to sort of a cadence formula to a C, and then back up to a D. Here we go, the ison choir. Ready? Oh. Back. Good. When we come back to the D, the O, make sure you get all the way back up to the same pitch. Right? Okay, now I'm going to screen share, and I think you're going to be able to get Stratus in on this. I'm going to look at the chant, okay? I'm on schedule here. I just have to remember how to screen share. It's all good. Coming down here, starting with the Greek, okay. And is Nancy here? Takis? Oh, there you guys are. Hi. No, that's stress. Okay. All right. So I'm going to screen share. Here we go. All right. Can everybody see that well?
Yes.
We're good. Do you have a double screen going or no? Just the music?
Music and you and Strat to the right.
No kidding. I can't see that, but that's fantastic.
Neither can I, but there it is.
Okay, because we're the victims. That's why. So look how beautiful this score is. All of them are like this that Nancy and Stan have put together. Just so beautiful. You can see this is mode 1. Mode 1, without getting into a big discussion about that, is if you were to think of the counterpart for Neo-Byzantine music of the Dorian mode, for those of you that know those modes, that would be playing all the white keys from D to D on the piano, in essence. Here in Byzantine music, this usually the most prominent, or principally the D is used for the ison. And the first notes of the melodies in this mode either start on A or D, okay? And you can see the D goes all the way through. We could sing, "O Angelos, Evoa." We could actually chant on that, but we wouldn't be together because of Zoom. It would not be so pretty. But we can sing, "Oh," while Stratus is singing, chanting. And then when we get to the cadence, he's going to slow down a little bit. And then you will go down to the C and then back up into, so we'll do those. That happens throughout. One thing that is interesting here, different from the tune that we might know, is that this play with the 6th scale tone here. And in George's music, he's on the B flat both times. Kind of interesting. And then the extension of the ending is very beautiful. So little melodic, we call them inflections that happen. All right, so Strat, are you ready to go?
I guess so. As
All
right
right.
as I'm going to be.
We're
Yeah.
going to set up an ison. Here we go, everybody. Ison, and then Strat's going to go. Good luck. Here we go.
O Angelos, Evoa, ke charitomeni, agni parthene chere, ke palinero chere, o socios anesti, primero sectatum. Otis, Inea Jerusalem, Igardoxa Kyriou, Episemet Correvenin ke avalusion, Sidati Percutheotoke, and
And off. Thank you,
Is that
Strat.
okay?
That's great. Oh, I love it.
I'm a little rough from this morning. I, did service, so.
Oh,
But
you
that was
sounded
close.
fabulous. You
That's close.
sounded fantabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to pull up the English one, okay? And I'm going to screen share again. And this time, instead of just being the ison, let's do this. I'm going to go to screen share first. Let me get set up with my Anglese. Here we go. And screen share. There we go. Whoops, I thought I hit it. There we go. Okay, so now you can see these isons occur in the same places, the same shape here that we talked about in the tune is used that Nancy has set. And here's her English setting. This is a little different from George's. But to get to try something else this time, Stratus is going to sing all the way through this one more time so we hear the English, okay? But let's have the women hold the ison. Well, let's have the women hold the ison for the first part, and the men sing the words. So you get a chance to do that with Stratus, but you cover your mics because you won't be together. And then when we get to the irmos, which is here, I didn't label that, but the fotizo, this is the irmos, right? So let me even put that in there so we see it. Whoops. Here we go. Ba-dum. Whoops. So, right, that's right here. So when we get there, then the women will sing the words and the men go to the ison. Can you remember that? So you flip parts and you just get a chance to sing some of the English. If you're singing the tune, cover your mic. If you're singing the ison, crank it up, okay? Here we go. I just have a little fun with it. All right, so, but Stratus is singing all the way through. I'm going to slow down a little bit, Strat, so we can get a feel here. Get our stuff in there. You're a good leader. And you could even bring up your volume a little bit more, I think, because one is singing the Ison. I'm noticing for myself, it's not as easy to hear you, although I could hear you. How's that? Okay, everybody, let's establish. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Yeah, let's establish the Ison. Oh, on the O. Ready? Okay, go. This is the women the first time. Go.
The angel cried to her who was filled with grace, exclaiming, Rejoice, O purest virgin. Again rejoice, I tell you, because your son is risen from 3 days of anguish. Shine forth, oh, shine forth. Shine forth, O New Jerusalem, for on you there is dawning all the glory of the Lord. Dance now with joy, and O Zion, be glad. Greatly delight, purest Theotokos, in the arising of him born of you.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing, come back. We were half successul, but you know,
Half
that's
successful,
something. No, Stratus, you were totally successful. We were successful. So, but it's a fun thing you can do virtually. You can talk about pitch and how to keep the energy going and keep it in tune, things like that. You can have different members of your choir sing snippets of things. In this case, this chant that we happen to be working on. I find people in a smaller choir or group are more willing to sing alone than when they're in a room with a lot of people. It's an interesting phenomenon. But you can hear yourself, you can give feedback, and everybody kind of becomes a family and working with each other. It's great for your ear. It's great for your ear. So I'm going to look now real quick at the 4th and 5th Sunday, and just, maybe we'll just do one of those this time, Stratus. Which one do you want to do, Sunday 4 or 5?
I have the 4th in front of me here. So
okay, so let's pull out the 4th Sunday, and he's just going to sing the Irmos, so you hear how that is the same music, but different words. And let me pull that up. Okay, so here's week 4. Okay, and I'm going to screen share again. And go here. This should be the right document. Okay.
And do you want it in Greek first? Are we doing Greek first?
No, let's just do the English.
Just the English? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
With one voice, oh Virgin. Just starting there to the end. And let's not sing an Ison right now. Let's just kind of listen to this and feel it in terms of fortizu, fortizu, the shape of the music and how that's the same. Okay, Strat, you're on.
With one voice, O Virgin, the faithful cry, rejoice to you. Rejoice, living Crete, and the gateway of the Lord, light of the resurrection of him, born of your womb, dead but now risen. Shine down on us who are blessing you. Oh.
Amen.
Close.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right. Yeah. It's okay. This is Zoom. That's darn good.
Yeah.
For Zoom. You know, you always have to say that. That's darn good for Zoom, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Strat. Are you hanging around, or are you?
I have another rehearsal coming later on, so.
Okay.
For our men's chorus, so I may have to bid adieu, but thank you so very much. I humbly thank you for letting me do this for you.
Oh, it's lovely.
And I hope I did all right.
You did wonderful, and happy birthday. Chronia Polak.
Thank you so very much, all of you. And yeah, I'm going to join the rest of my family, and then my rehearsal comes up. So
And lucky,
Thank
lucky
you.
for you for having a rehearsal.
yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yes,
it's a Zoom rehearsal. It's like this, so it's not, but it's a rehearsal. So
all right. A
take
deal.
care. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye bye.
So those are wonderful. That if you're working on an arrangement, you kind of pull those out, and you have those to work with off of Nancy and Stan's website. They're great. So I was looking through some books, and I'd asked Nicholas and Paul, hey, how many composers actually wrote choral arrangements to each of the different settings? And it was interesting. Most people take that text, since it fits with the same metric pattern, into the music they're singing. Should we do this or not? That's a whole nother discussion. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, depending if your translation is different. Then maybe the other translation you have just in a chant doesn't seem to quite go together. So, but Paul found that Angelos had set all three versions in separate arrangements. And so he kind of put those together and has posted them just this morning to the site, along with the other materials for today. And you're welcome to see those and print those out and see how she did that. She's very chant driven in her setting. George Raptis is more of a Western and freer expressive setting in a different way. So, but I had to share one thing. I'm not going to pull those up so I can keep rolling forward, but I definitely have to screen share one very special thing as we were going through these that Paul was able to share. And let me.
And Marie, I think Nick Milligas also has the other voices.
Does he have all three? Okay. I looked at Bogdanos, I looked at the old Anastasiou and the other, and of course Desby, and so that's good to know. Thank you. That's a good thing to research, that aspect of it. Okay, so since we're talking about Anna in the moment, however, and George is coming up, how do you like this dear picture? Isn't that sweet? And we're not sure the exact year, but it's just a very sweet picture we wanted to share with you. So of dear Anna and George, and they both have their, is that the Romanos, Vicky, that they're probably, we can't see the bottom of the picture to see what the medal, but it could be.
I believe so.
Is it? So anyways, very, very sweet and a beautiful memory. But we have their music, which is so important. So I'm going to move now to the actual music of George Raptis, since that's what we're focusing on today. And what I'd like to do is start with the Greek, because I believe you start with the Greek to really know how to do the English in many, many ways. And I want to also direct you on the website it is on the MEFCOX website, that we have put a very lovely bio of George. My cursor has disappeared on me. There we go. And I'm just going to pull it up, but I'm not going to read it or anything. I want to move on, but it's just a sweet picture. There is the medallion. There you can see it, of dear, dear George. And below is a very beautiful bio put together by his daughter, Sophia. I tweaked some things here and there, but she largely put it together. And I would direct your attention to get that from the site. Nicholas has that posted for us. But I'm going to go to the music because that's what George would have wanted. So that's where we go next. And pull out your score if you have it handy. And let me go here. Okay. All right. So as we're talking overall about the music for George's setting of this piece, and just give me a minute here. We were looking at a translation that is a little different from this one, and we'll be looking at. So as I look at the first half and the second half, I think I'll visit it then. I think I'll come back to that. So overall, in George's setting, he has allegro at the top. He never did this allegro. Really is moderato, and I marked that at the top of your score, because moderato is the quarter note 1/8 to about 1/12. Even on the bottom side of that, 104 evens is what, in order to kind of do the interpretive things in all the various spots, is really more accurate. And if you were here and we were talking about it, you'd probably say, I should probably change that. But the tonality is in E minor. And George always liked setting things in E, and this is, but it's as if you took the mode, which is on D in the chant, and just moved it up, and then did the E minor in the natural minor scale, and we're going to look at that in a minute. It's all a little different in Neo-Byzantine settings, and Nancy Takis calls this Hijos Yorgos, and I agree, Hijos Yorgos, because he does his thing, right? So it's a little freer approach, and harmonically is rather simple. It's amazing how rich the setting is, and yet harmonically it's a very simple language, a lot of recurrences of E minor, A minor throughout, but the variety of textures, the spacings within the chords, which you need to think about in tuning, just and a wealth of other things are what really make this the Raptis thing, right? So we want to think about either Greek or English, because it's basically almost the same music, almost. Is tuning open octaves and unisons tuning and fifths. The word theotoke at the end of one of the phrases, you have just a third that you need to tune. Where he rests at the end of the phrase is always interesting. And the spacings, charitomeni, you have a chord in very close position, and then you have wider space chords later on the second page of each setting. On Jerusalem, when we talk about the New Jerusalem, it's very grounded and it's all low, but it's close position. And then when he inverts things, when we're going to talk about that, there's maybe that's associated with the double meaning, like what we talked about with the odes. So he likes seventh chords coloristically, a lot of them in Kassiani, but and he uses that to color an idea. He adds that extra tone. So when we are looking at the text, it's important that I always look at a literal translation. I talked about that last time, kind of a word for word translation, because it brings to mind as we do that more than just the paraphrase, right? We sing in words and thoughts. We sing in words and thoughts, not just a word goes by. And all that comes into our interpretation and our delivery and our understanding and our embracing of the music. So that's why we want any associative ideas with the text. Every singer should do their own thing, not just a conductor. You should write those, any thoughts you get in your music. You are creators of bringing together the re-expression of the music too. So, so the duality of meaning and combined imagery in both the text and the music is inherent in George's. Every word is important in sound. Every word, remember that, and every note is active. So every note is either going somewhere, it's going up, it's going down, and dynamic. It's never just sitting, static. Okay, English translations affect the shape of the larger musical phrases. You may be singing the same music, but you may shape it differently. Also, we really have to be careful with the changes in the sound of going from the Greek to the English. We have a lot of pure vowels in the Greek, and the English, right away, we're dealing with a lot of diphthongs, where we have two sounds on one syllable, okay? The melody that he uses is chant all the way through. He only changes it in about 3 places, I think, 3, maybe 4. And that's because he plays with melodies, because of all the years he played violin. George used to always talk about how his mother made him practice the violin when he was little for 2 hours every day. And George finished his studies in half an hour, and he would put his Flash Gordon comic books up on the music stand. And then he would improvise, and he'd say to me, Anne Marie, a lot of beautiful tunes came out of those times while I was reading the comic books. That's a dear memory he shared with me, that he more than once, that he would talk about. So his music is very much melodically conceived and driven. And so you always want to kind of hook into that. And what he does with two parts, with a melody and an eson, that's that melody and changing it, turning it around and playing with it. The textures that he uses always bear significance to the text. Why has he got 4 parts here and this here and that there? Well, he sang in the professional choir with the Kenjul Chorale for years, and he knew many of the major works. And George was always fascinated. We would have discussions about, in particular, the sacred settings by major composers, and especially mass settings. So the setting of the B minor mass was right at the top of his list, right? And he was always fascinated with how the text was approached in sacred works. And so when you see unison writing with him in settings of masses by, say, Haydn or Bach, amid all the festive, orchestral, and elegant, rich, varied passages of texture that are going on, all of a sudden you'll see a bold passage in unison singing in contrast on a single text, everyone coming together. And it's all very symbolic, often on the creed, which is the symbolic coming together of everybody and expressing their faith. And this influenced George. All right, let's take a look specifically right now at his Greek setting. And I'm going to pull that up in a screen share. And are you going to give me a half screen kind of deal there, Nick? Is that what's going to happen? Oh.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. You're so good. Let me see. I think I have it. Here it is. Okay. Screen share. Put it up here. Screen share. Un momento. Here we go. Okay. And share. Okay. So here we have, make it a little bigger. How's that? I'm going to look at the first half. Okay. And I know Mirza visited this piece as a favorite of hers. No surprise for both of us, because we grew up singing with George, and this is one of the beautiful pieces he wrote before he ever even said his liturgy. And she had a lot of good ideas and suggestions. So as you look at the opening phrase, this eson, we talked about singing that with a more closed vowel. And I'm going to keep moving through. I'm not going to be able to get to more things with warm-ups because I want to give due time to George's music right now. But that's something you can shape. As we're looking at, and there's a pianissimo dynamic. Now, usually when I have performed Byzantine chant, just straight chant with an eson, I tell my singers to sing them at an equal dynamic level, which is interesting because there's a two-dimensionality when it's in that form that's very unique and beautiful. And it's like looking at the iconography, which is two-dimensional as opposed to the later romantic sort of images that we see. But when you see it in a setting like this is different. And it is more of a backdrop to this. And George is very specific in putting the pianissimo and then the mezzo piano by the melody or the chant in the men's part. So we need to observe that. There's a rule that if it's on the page, we do it, right? So we're obliged to do it because the composer has it there. So we want to sing that pianissimo, and it's an O, but with vibrancy. So forward, never oh, but oh, 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 oh. That forward Greek ethos, a little bit, sound is so beautiful here. And then when the men sing below, we observe that, yes, this foreshadows the text and chant to come. And it is a lovely, lovely spot here. This is a place where we have the duality of thought. one of two places where a couple places, three, I think three, the chant is altered. It's a forecast of the chant to come, which you have here in the soprano. O Angelos, Evoa, tomeni. I don't sing as well when I'm talking also, but so forgive me for that. But that's the tune. And O Angelos, Evoa. Wow. O Angelos, sorry. He changes here the rhythm, right? And so this is different. And then this ascent to the a perfect fourth up, very different. And then the C sharp, there's his melodic playing around. That's so beautiful. So I get a picture in my mind. This says the angel. It's singular. It is not plural. So one angel, the one angel is going to, and it's not even the Theotokos yet. We're talking about, let me get my text in front of me at the same time. We're talking about a maiden or a virgin, right? So O Angelos Evoa, I've got my text. There we go. A maiden or virgin, okay? And then we say here, rejoice. So this is just, in my mind, when I think one angel, a virgin, Mary, you know, I'm thinking Annunciation very much at this point, right? Kecharitomeni. So the angel cried to her who was filled with grace. And we also have this word Evoa. Evoa comes from the verb evoa. That means to utter with great joy or grief. Either one in the Greek. So this is not just, let's shout it from the rooftops, yoo-hoo, you know, it is more of a very depthful joy. And here it is an occurrence of actually creating an ethereal image of a single angel bending down to Mary. And George intuitively creates this beautiful atmosphere here. It's so beautiful, intuitively and intentionally, right? So I see that as freely. That's my little added thing, that we slow down. Here's, Maritza talked about this seam is always tricky. You release and then you bring the women in, right? Angelos Evoa. And then as we continue with the three-part, you have a whole different feel here. But as you continue, the men on the sound of the opening should have a very pure sound. And as you're going on, Agni Parthene, because Agni, I'm looking at my words here. Agni means pure or chaste. And Parthene is virgin, the pure virgin or maiden. So we have that image. And so this would be painted through here very, very gently, lovingly, right? Okay. We also have pure vowels. You want to sing vowel to vowel, Agni Parthene. Okay. Let's take, how's my time? I have to keep looking at time here. I'm going to keep talking before I sing a little thing from here. You know, I have 3 screens and I'm trying to make my cursor go from one to the other computer, and that won't work. You have to use the other cursor. So, okay, let me find it. Okay, so the idea of grace is here as well. Okay, all of a sudden my text is a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm getting I have another score here with the word. There it is. Okay, so. Agni Parthene, pure virgin, here, rejoice, and Balin. And again, we ask or say, here, rejoice. Your son, Osos Ios, Anesti, is risen or resurrected on the 3rd day of entombment. The word, though, kecharitomeni, means literally filled with grace. And there's joy in that little statement. And that's where you see in the chant, you would really feel that a little more rhythmically in that spot as you're singing it, right? And here, this would be more lyric and legato in its intention. And then palin, kepalin, I'd put a stress on palin. And again, You have those eighth notes here, and this is from the chant. This is not changed here. So we want to bring that out. He ends just on a simple third here, right? Okay. If I had time, and I was so happy to hear Maritza refer to this as we teach our choirs about the triadic construction of the women here. And let me do a little screen share just for a moment. Okay, I don't want to lose this one. Whoops. I'm going to get that one. I'm going to find my page. Oh, technology, one moment. There it is. Okay, I'm looking for so there it is. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing, then start sharing again with something else. Okay. All right, these are some of my ear training exercises, but I'm going here. We started to look at the scale. If we do warm-ups for voice, and then we also do warm-ups to really develop the ear using solfege and audiation. Audiation is the process of producing the sound internally before we sing it. Those two concepts over time will be so beneficial to our choirs collectively. So if we start here, I was doing yesterday with you, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. There's so many things. I do whole workshops on this, and Kodai hand signals and everything is wonderful. But if we first identify tuning here, fa, mi, and ti-do, and they learn to sing that in the scale. We then translate that over as it comes up and contextually in the music we're doing, okay? And then singing down, bottom half of the scale, do, ti, la, sol, la, ti, do, sol, la, ti, do. Basses, all of us understanding a bass line. In fact, when we teach music, everybody should learn the bass line as well, because we have to tune to it. That's really primary. Do, so, do, and then do, la, do, la, ti, do. That's an important relationship. And then teaching them the minor scales. I'm just going to give you the highlights. Reader's Digest version here. I'll try to make this screen a little smaller so you can see the whole, the page here a little bit smaller so you can see the whole scale. So we use a movable do. So do, re for minor, me, re, do, re, me, fa, so, la, ti, do. So if we teach the major scale and two forms of the minor scale to our choirs, you've got a wealth of information you can translate over into rehearsals. So the melodic minor scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, te, le, so, fa, me, re, do. And the harmonic version, a lot of you know this, but it's just nice to see it to remind ourselves how we can collectively use this effectively. The harmonic version goes all the way up to so, and then we have this beautiful augmented second, which is useful to us. It goes from lay to ti, both going up and down. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, le, so, fa, me, re, do. Let's sing this real slow. Get off your mics and I'll wait on each note. It'll just be an experiment. Here we go. Sing do. Do. We have to wait for everybody to catch up because you're all different times. Play. Okay. And then we would come down. If I was only showing you basic things, I would learn those three scales. Then I would learn two triads for starting. I'm going back to the major. I'm back in a major tonality. Do, mi, so, mi, do. Sing that slowly. Do, do, mi,
Me, do.
have to stay here to get the 5. So, and the 5 chord with the dominant, which is also the most important. So, T, Re, Ti, Do. Here we go, one note at a time, go.
So,
Ti,
re,
ti,
do.
Minor, so you can see the basic 1 chord of the key. Do, me, so, me, do. Let's do it slowly. Do,
Do, me, so, me, do.
That is a teeny tiny part of what you do with solfege training, but it's a starting point, okay? And then when you go back and you look at the things, the music that you're doing, you can say, tune, here's a major, sing, do, mi, so, mi, do. Sing, do, me, so, me, do, you know. Here at the cadence, 5 to 1, just those basic, if you only did that much, wow, your musical, yeah, you'd have really great results, I think, and you would be developing the ears of your people lots. There's so much more to talk about that, but I have to stay with going forward with George's music. So I'm going to attempt to get back to that score of George's, which is here. Okay. Going back, I think I have it. Close this out. Yep, there we go. All right. So looking at the first half, as we look at this, let's look at the third phrase here of the men shape the text in accordance with the textual accents. Very gentle, pure virgin. 1, 2, 3. Agni parthene here. Even though I see the line in straight quarter notes, I would always be bringing out the shape of the text. Shape of the text. Agni parthene here. Kepalin ero here. You know, a little more, some joy on this, the repeat of this. And then the women are on the ison, right? It's piano, mezzo forte this time, but a very gentle mezzo forte. And the women are singing Agni Parthene. I have to get my other score in front of me here. Whoops, 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 whoops. They're singing pure, the word pure and maiden. So we have to sound like virgins, maidens here when we sing, ladies. Be very careful that it's a light sound. I like to think sotto voce, half voice. Non espressivo is a good term too, because it's not I'm always careful with the word no vibrato, because anything oscillating with an oscillating, you know, air happening has some kind of vibrato in it, but it gives you the same idea. But when the women sing here, Agni Parthene, and you should descend, think lift in terms of where the sound is ringing in your body, the placement. Ososios, here's your bold unison, right? Reflects the power of the resurrection and change in time now. We've had this illusion. We think we're getting a message to the maiden. We're thinking it's Mary, right? That's the illusion. And all of a sudden, what is the message? The message is, and again I say to thee, not you're gonna bear a child, because thy son is risen from 3 days of entombment. How wonderful that this has been put together here. And so it's forte, it's an abrupt change. Ososios anesti. Ososios anesti. I would make something of that with the women. I like very freely taking time here and being very lamentive and painting the picture of this lamentive, because there had to be a death in order for there to be a resurrection. That's a very powerful image on the heels of us thinking Annunciation, isn't it? So I'm going to have you, not with your microphones for a minute, sing the, do I have time? Yes, sing the Greek, okay? And I'm going to play, do you have your music
Not with your microphone.
to look on
Hmm?
your own
Not
copy?
with mic-
Because I'm going to play the video of this just to do this one time. Let me go to that next. Okay. Here we go.
Right. Just so that everybody understands, we should all be muted now, correct?
Correct. Thank you, Sophia. Absolutely. Yep. And let me get this out of the way here. And this. Got a bunch of things open here I have to close so I can get to my next thing. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to this folder with things that Evans is adding things to steadily. So, wow. Okay. So here is the Greek for this. Oh, first of all, I need to screen share again. Go to my original window. Technology, ain't it just grand, huh? Here we go. All right. All right, now I'm going to do this and this. This is George Raptis' setting of O Angelos Evoa in Greek. Your first pitch is O, which is for the women on the eson, as well as the first note of the chant for the gentlemen as they come in. You're next going to hear those pitches reiterated as you hear the first measure and a half preparatory, and then you'll be counted in by me into the actual piece. Oh, a change of wardrobe. So I'm going to stop there for a minute, and I'm going to go to the English to compare that for a moment. So I'm going to pull up my English score here. Bring it up top.
Anna Marie, could you raise the volume?
I think, can you do it on, oh, I can raise it. I thought maybe I had it all the way up. Certainly. But if you need more, it might be on your machine as well. Let me screen share here and come here. So here is the English. Now, it's interesting because as we look at this, O Angelos Evoa, this is called macaronic use of text because in one composition, it's more than one language that he has combined so beautifully. Oh, I love that about this piece, yeah? So when you sing here, I don't know if, are you able to, yeah, you see this, right? You see the English, but you can't see the Greek unless, Nicholas, you're able to put the Greek up. Are you able to do that?
I may. Let me see.
Okay, you can work on that while we're talking English. How's that? So we have in the Greek, O Angelos Evoa, and here we have the angel. First of all, it's the A. So we have to watch right away the pronunciation of that. And also, O Angelos Evoa, the depth, the weightiness of this depthful utterance is O Angelos Evoa. That beauty is lost here in terms of the fact that we have the word exclaiming and it's at the end of the phrase. The angel cried to her who was filled with grace, exclaiming. So here, as I phrase in the Greek, I would be singing to the word angelos and then vo evoa and charitomeni, and with the little bit of a dance on the eighth note. So I would sing O Angelos, Evoa, Tiscari, to many, many. Especially that leaning into those passing tones in the soprano and second soprano. And in the English, I would have my destination would be a bit different because I would be singing to the angel cried to her who was filled with grace, exclaiming. I would, the question is, do you go with the music or do you go with the text? Sometimes you go with the music. I think her, I wouldn't go with as much as the concept of grace and exclaiming in the English. Again, no criticisms on anything. This is a beautiful setting of an English translation. And we're so early on the journey of translations and adapting music. My gosh, major works are being rewritten this day by composers from 200 years ago. So it's just what we need to consider. And also all the pure vowels in the beginning of the Greek, o, ang, e, os, right? E, vo, a, I, o, e. First phrase, English, I, e, I, there's your diphthong, u, u, ild, filled with grace is difficult. You have to really sing a super long vowel and not the L even begin to approach it. Filled, even when I just start to go to it, not even articulate the L, it changes the vowel color and the beauty. And we have to sing on the vowels. That's where the beauty comes in. Filled with grace, diphthong, exclaiming. There are more sounds with voice consonants, more consonants, period, diphthongs that we didn't have in the Greek, and that all has to be dealt with. So when I sing the angel, I think of the first important word, angel. And I try to take the shape of the article, which isn't as important, and sing it within to kind of equalize where I'm going. Sing that in the place of where it's ringing in the shape of for angel. Is this sound. My teeth are separated, but I have an almost formation. I'm thinking towards a taller vowel. Angel, angel, and I have to do this E in there. So instead of spreading to an E, the A. You want to feel the connection from vowel to vowel when you sing and practice text a lot. Okay, going on. Pick up notes. Rejoice, agony, so beautiful to sing. Rejoice. I would take all the R's out of any singing in English to begin with. If one person does it, it's enough almost. So you barely touch that. And I like to flip it. One flip. Rejoice. And instead of an E, we would say rejoice. We would sing rejoice. There's your diphthong. O. Is comes right before the next syllable. Rejoice. Iso. Comes right before the next syllable. Pures may. There's a diphthong. Okay, let's see the arch of the phrase. Agni parthenechere. Rejoice. Really, the rejoice is at the beginning, right? Rejoice. So I might sing that a little more ebulliently in English than I would in the Greek, because you have the word agni, and agni means pure. Agni parthene. I'm singing the purity and chastity of a virgin. And here I'm saying, rejoice. So I would go with the text. Rejoice, so pure is maiden. And I'd maybe more smoothly, lyrically sing the rest of it. What do you all think? I mean, that's just how it sort of comes to you. And I think those are important interpretively, okay? I think the last part of it works very well. Because thy son is risen from 3 days of entombment. You would probably want to align the M, although you could play with that. Okay, let's look at the second half, because my time is ripping forward as it always, always does. As you look at all of part one, what we we're just looking at, overall, the music is more, let me stop sharing here for a minute. But you can see me, right? I don't need to do that. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do this anyways because I have to change to the second half. So all of part one, the music is more compressed in scope, in ranges and spacing of chords, more two-part textures, dynamics are more contained, and it's more in the character of the sticho refrain, the smaller font we saw that alternated in the orthros, and it tells, this is the telling of the story and beginning to mix elements of the other idea. So as we go to the second half of this, the setting, page 2, starting with the fotizo section, for everything is more expansive in scope. The vocal ranges, the soprano and the bass are more expanded. So tuning out our voices is really a good thing to do in your rehearsals. The spacing of the chords, the additional textures are more varied and are more intensified as dictated by the power of the text. More forte passages, more SATB homophony. Homophony refers to singing the same thing at same text at the same time in the same rhythm, you know. And there's more now, all of a sudden, more harmonic and chordal vertical changes in the homophony than in the first part. There's more variety. The language is richer. There's more use of the B major chord you want to tune, the 5 chord, which you don't see in the first half. He's just going 1, 4, E minor, A minor, E minor, predominantly. And then you also have text painting for bigger ideas. And let's go to that right away. So when we talk about fotizo, now I'm going to screen share again. Or do you just want to put it up and make it easy on me here?
You just want the score, Henry?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be really groovy. That's great. And
Hopefully you can see it.
I love it. Thank you. I feel a lot better. Okay, so fotizo, and I'm also gonna pull out my other. Fotizo. Okay, so when I look at this, fotizo is an interesting thing because it means, the definition is to shine. It's also to illuminate. It's also to enlighten or make known or instruct. Isn't that interesting? So this is what I mean, literal translations are marvelous, especially coming from our Greek vocabulary. These words have multi-dimensional meanings. So what do we have here? We have the women singing fotizo, and you have these beautiful triadic structures. Wow, notice that, the fotizo. Thank you. Oh, this is great. Nicholas, I love it. So when you put these together holistically, all the notes, that's a Debussy prelude, but that's a minor 7th chord, and that's one of the chords I would add to my solfege training for my choir, and it's delicious collectively all together, even though it's a E minor, G major, to kind of hear that way, because that's how George would kind of go with these. He loved the lushness of adding those 7ths in key places, and this fotizo here to me represents, and it's different for everybody, I think resplendent light, because it's mezzo piano, it's not shouting. There is an accent, okay, but it's sort of in this mezzo piano dynamic. It's like light being refracted through a prism, yielding all the beautiful colors there are. It's like shining beauty to me. And when you sing with the beautiful vowels, this image comes to my mind. You crescendo to the middle syllable incisively, but focused, and you never oversing it, right? Clarity. And you tune these, as Maritza had talked with the National Forum in her sharing of some of these things. Listen vertically and linearly. You have to watch the movement of steps in the second half below, where it goes the half step movement versus the whole step movement, and keeping the unison together. Oh, I love this. Nicholas, you're hired. So the men, however, sing this beautiful line, right? Let's go back to where it starts there, the little pickup. Yeah. I'm sorry. I like the lift because it sort of, you're repeating it and reiterating it, and it just gives you a chance to reshape a new little shape. You know, when we mark things and we have these things, you must do them, even if you don't need it, because unity of thought and expression is so important in choral music, right? So fotizu, when I hear this, I plug in personally to a representation of the element of enlightenment, of instruction, of guidance. The expressive delivery of the fotizu is here, and the shining of the illumination of knowledge is above. Isn't that a cool duality? And that's so in sync with a lot of the texts that we experience in our services. Going on, the Jerusalem phrase going on. Inea Jerusalem. I love this spot. Wow, E major. He uses it here and at the very end of the piece. Those are the only two places he uses it. This powerful musical imagery, I like to slow it way down there. I've got a retard written in and a fermata, and it's voiced low, stable, grounded positioning, right? So you want to tune that. And it's just in our Orthodox theology, it tells us that the New Jerusalem is a confirmation of the resurrection of all into the heavenly church, and that the city of God will come down from heaven as described in Revelation, the apocalypse of Revelation. Look at this, a very powerful moment, and George, God bless him, he just makes that beautiful. He slows it down too. I like slowing it down even a little bit more. Going on is interesting because you have the doxa phrase, a rapid change in style and in expression and in musical activation. A fast, rapid crescendo. It's a voiced sound. It's like a voiced TH. There's a DH there. So you want to add a little pitch to that from the note and not be singing pitch material on the way to the note. If you sing pitch material on your all will pop and shine so glorious. And that to me is a high point in that phrase. And then the next high point is going to Kyriou. So you want to make something of that because we're singing of the sovereignty of God the Father, right? Let me see. I'm trying to follow my little notes here. And then we go to Epise anetile. So what's going on here? Anetile means to rise, doesn't it? It means to rise, and yet we have the music descending. So duality of intention here, maybe textually from the hymnographer, because you have the idea of depiction of an earthly nature and reference to Christ's birth and death in this phrase, with the preceding reference to the Almighty God being glorified in a heavenly realm. Isn't that a marvelous thought, or melding of all three ideas? It's really wonderful. I'm going to go on because then we just want to make sure we look at how this compares to what's happening in the English, okay? So as we're singing that doxa, you want to have beautiful and well-paced diminuendos. The men on their, on the lines here, I'm sorry. Igar doxa, ya ba 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 ba. The movement in the bass line is wonderful. I would go over the melody first with the whole choir, and then I would teach everybody that bass line, and then really hear those things together, and then add the parts. And then the other interesting thing that as I was talking about the diminuendo on a netile, trying to get in a lot of information, I apologize, is that the kind of suspension with the men moving down to the pitches slowly, right? From the C to the B to the A to the G. What a beautiful moment. I would withhold their diminuendo in abeyance. The women optimize it there, but they started before. I would really carry the men through and let them diminuendo after the women, only there. What else was I going to say that? There was something else. Maybe it wasn't brilliant because, the last chord, the result is G, B, E. So it's an E minor chord in the first inversion. It's not as stable or grounded as E, G, B, do, me, so. It's me, so, do. So there's, we're talking about this earthly realm, and he's risen, but we've descended, two ideas together. And it's interesting, again, that intuitively George, and very specifically, didn't end up on a root position chord there. Maybe a lesser composer might have. Horevenin, the bass line, just dances also against the soprano. A wonderful chromaticism in the altos brings out that concept as well. I'm going to shoot ahead here. There's so much to talk about. But and in Zion, the references to Zion. I would sing all this with great rhythmic energy. And then we have, the text, I need to get to the English here, but Horevenin, dance now with joy to glorify Zion. And so, sive, and so pure, take delight, theotoko. So terpu is to delight or please, or be glad, even rejoice again. So this is all very joyous. Anti yersi, which we talk about the rising of tutokusu. Tutokusu is literally the child you brought forth, or that you birthed. Now, if we can look at the English, it would be fun to look at it at the same time. But I don't think you can do that, Nicholas. Yeah, I'm going to get to the virtual choir in a second. I know. I'm almost there. I know. It's 23 after. But I just really quickly will just give you some things on the English, because that's the one we're going to be seeing. So, O shine on New Jerusalem, the second half of the English. Fotizu is the same, but the men have this addition of the word O. A lot of times when we go to English, we add the word O to help us, where the language doesn't kind of move over in the same way, right? In Nancy's translation, there's no O. Yeah, check the time. Okay, so O shine. We have to shape in accordance with the English text there. Right. So I will say in the English, where is the beginning of the English? O shine on New Jerusalem. Okay, Inea, new comes on Inea. So in the Greek, we're going to phrase to new. That's a very important word, Nea Jerusalem. In the English, we have Hoshine on new, then Jerusalem. I would phrase this easy on the shine, which isn't really in the phrase at that point. Hoshine on a new then Jerusalem fits well. In the English, I would almost reiterate the N very deliberately. Oh, shine on a new, and I would put a Y. I do this very infrequently, but in special cases, new, N-Y-E. So, oh, shine on a new, because of the regal, rich quality of the text. I'm afraid I have other ideas for the rest of this, but there are also instances as you go down toward the last two lines where we have necessitatively feel the shape of the music different. At the resurrection, the next to the last penult line, at the resurre, we should feel that as one big anacrusis, one big upwards gesture, like a pickup. In the Greek, we only have three notes, enti-e-ye. And here we have, at the resurrection of thy beloved, I'd avoid the E, beloved son. There I delay the retard in English interpretively because of what you're saying. The word son comes later, the possessive thy, an adjective. Thy beloved is before, of thy beloved son. That's what you're embracing. In the Greek, si tutokusu. This is the child of yours is at the end. So you would begin to shape that at the mention of the child, si tutokusu. And here it'd be thy beloved son. And he does the marvelous change to A minor and then the E major gesture. And let me see if I can go back and play the, should I do the Lord bless you and keep you?
Sure.
And let me try, how did that sound, Nicholas?
Audio was great.
Okay, let me see if I can play this updated version with the small group of the first project, the Lord bless you and keep you as well. This is the virtual singers recording, right? Okay.
That was
There's-
perfect.
That's the first virtual choir recording. And then we're going to my husband will redesign that to add other, more voices into that one. So you'll have two versions of that first piece. And what a beautiful collection of singers and talent and hearts and spirits in that from our own membership in our churches. So we tried to pull together conductors and psalties within our two federations to help with this core group. So I'm very grateful to them. And I thought they did a great job. And we worked out a lot of the bugs back and forth. If you think it might be challenging, how do I submit it? How do I do this? We went through the same thing with this core group because not everybody had done it before. And that's why we're sort of going now to the big group so that we can keep working out how we can be helpful in doing this. We're mixing technology with also working on our choral singing. So